New era for the Phoenix Suns. They got a new owner. They've jettisoned basically all remnants of their past success except for Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. And they've brought in Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Frank Vogel. They're one of the most talked about teams going into next year. A lot of people are picking them to win a championship, and I don't buy them.
I'm not buying it.
And I completely disagree. I'm buying all in. Kevin Durant, Book, Bradley Beal. I got them winning the West.
Before we start talking about the Phoenix Suns, if you haven't already, make sure you leave this video a like, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on one of our videos. For a team coming off 64 wins the year prior, last season looked like it was kind of going to be a disaster for a while. I mean, they were 20-21 at midseason. Chris Paul looked washed for large stretches of the season. Rumors were abundant that DeAndre Ayton was not happy with Monty Williams. They were just a disaster for a while.
Yeah, this team had hit its peak. We saw the 2021 finals. They should have won that series. They were up 2-0. Then they completely choked. The next year, they're the first seed. A lot of people are picking them to win the title. And then that Dallas Mavericks choke, all-time awful choke.
One of the funniest games in NBA history.
Exactly. They needed to do something big, and they did some big things.
Oh yeah, well first of all, they sold the team. Matt Ishbia bought the team on February 6th. 3 days later, man was like Kevin Durant. I mean, talk about making an instant impact.
Right. I remember we went to record a video, and then I'm driving back to my place. I got some McDonald's. I parked my car, and I checked my phone. I'm like, guess Kevin Durant's a Sun.
Yeah, the Suns, they sent out Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, 4 firsts and a first swap. And look, when Durant played for the Suns, they were great. But he didn't play very often for the Suns. He played only 8 of 26 possible games, but they did go 8-0 in those games, so it was hard not to be optimistic.
I think I was one of those people that bought in way too much to those 8 games, but if you looked at the advanced stats, you look at their defensive rating, offensive rating, those 8 games, they were just completely dominant.
There were concerns. The biggest one was injuries. Like if one of them got injured, I mean, what happened with Kevin Durant before his home debut against Oklahoma City? Dude just turned his ankle in a freak injury and it sidelined him for 3 weeks. Like if one of their big 4 went out, they didn't have any depth to replace them.
Didn't stop us from picking them though. We both had them coming out the West.
Suns at 4.
Oh,
No,
okay,
5.
yeah,
Sorry, not 4. 5. I meant to say 5.
I could see 4 if that somehow plays out.
And that Clippers series, they did win in 5, but I don't know if Kawhi stays healthy, if they still would have won at least that comfortably.
I mean, I tell you what, the Clippers gave them a series even without Kawhi or Paul George. It was all Brody.
It was just Brody versus KD.
And Brody made them work. Round 2 against the Thunder, though, they got thumped in game 1. They didn't really get thumped in game 2. They actually led by 3 going into the 4th, but nobody outside of KD, Booker, and Ayton could score. Those 3 scored 73 of their team's 87 points, and they lost Chris Paul to injury.
Yeah, the 2 games they come back to Phoenix, yeah, they won both games, but it took just KD and Book completely carrying. 39 for KD in game 3, 47 for Book in game 3, and they survived a masterclass by Jokic in game 4, barely, but they did get the W, and they evened the series at 2 apiece.
And then they got steamrolled in games 5 and 6. The Suns, like you said, they were too reliant on KD and Book. Those 2 had to get you at minimum 70 points. Meanwhile, the Nuggets, balanced attack. I think they got 25 points from Bruce Brown in game 5, and then in game 6, it was just deja vu, and honestly, it was even funnier the second time.
Yeah, it was so funny. It's like, really? You're letting this happen again?
I mean, no shame in getting bounced by the Nuggets, because they won the fucking title. But to get bounced like that at home for the second straight year, not great for Suns fans. Hilarious for us, but not great for Suns fans.
And I think they kind of just needed to make a big move. So like, you know what? We can't like trade KD or trade Book. They've been trying to trade Ayton. So they're like, we're going to fire Monty Williams, which seemed pretty harsh. He just won Coach of the Year like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it is a little harsh considering what the Suns were before Monty got there and what he helped build them into. Like, he was a big reason why they became what they were. But when you get routed at home in the playoffs for a second straight year, and when I say routed, I mean routed. This isn't losing by 15. This is down by 30 at halftime. You kind of got to make a change.
Yeah, that's fair. And I do like the head coaching hire of Frank Vogel because he's a defensive guy. They don't need any work on offense. Like, you could literally just say, hey, KD, Book, Bradley Beal, go get buckets. They'll be fine. But they definitely, that's the big question mark, defense. So I like the hire of Frank Vogel.
I like it too. And I also think, like, if anyone's going to get the best out of DeAndre Ayton, it's going to be Vogel. Because he's worked with, Roy Hibbert. He's worked with AD. So I do like the hire. prior. Before they traded for Beal, though, the Suns were just linked to basically every somewhat available star player. Like, they were linked to Dame, they were linked to Harden. There was the report that they would waive Chris Paul that ended up being false. I mean, they eventually traded Paul along with Landry Shamet to the Wizards for Bradley Beal. They also sent out 4 first-round picks and 6 second-round picks. Say what you want about Matt Ishbia, but the guy's aggressive.
Yeah, the dude is doing whatever it takes. He's in win-now mode. The Bradley Beal trade I don't like because Bradley Beal's contract is horrendous.
Well, you don't like Bradley Beal.
I don't like Bradley Beal much either, but as a win-now move, I get it. But the main thing they did was they finally added some depth. Utah Watanabe, Eric Gordon, and our main man, Drew Eubanks.
The Shaq of Troutdale.
The Shaq of Troutdale.
I kind of like the Bradley Beal trade. I get why they did it. I still weirdly think they gave up too much.
They did.
Considering Beal had a no trade clause, he could say, I'm only going to Phoenix. Like, did the Suns really need to give up 4 first swaps and 6 second-round picks? Like, it may not seem like it means anything, but I mean, the Bucks landed Jay Crowder with 5 second-round picks. Could you land a player like Jay Crowder, someone that's going to help out your depth with those second-round picks? Maybe. So I really think they gave up too much for Beal. And in terms of filling out the rest of their roster, I got some questions about this roster. Now, the first one is injuries, and this is completely unpredictable. You can't, say anything about it, but KD, Bradley Beal, and Booker have all missed a lot of time over the past couple years. KD missed roughly half this past season, Booker missed 29 games, and Beal hasn't played in 60 or more games since 2019. If one of those 3 goes out with an injury that keeps them out longer than a month, they're gonna struggle.
Well, that's why they got 3 stars now, because the 2 stars, it was like, okay, that's way too risky. Let's add in Bradley Beal, so KD's gonna miss like 20 games or something. It's KD at this point. So they can just throw in Bradley Beal. If Bradley Beal's out, Book and KD can step it up. So I think that's honestly kind of the reason they added Bradley Beal is because they want a little bit more insurance in case of an injury.
That's fine, but this leads kind of into the second point I have, which is just the general construction of the roster. I feel like the NBA is moving away from big 3s. I feel like it's moving towards more so big 2s, and then you've got a nice crop of supporting cast players. Like, that's what Denver was. They got Jokic, and they got Murray, and then they got a bunch of really solid players. Like, the Suns are super top heavy. They got Booker, KD, and Beal. As far as big 3s go, you can't get much better. They still have DeAndre Ayton, who's a really nice player, and then after that, you look at the rest of this roster, I mean, they really lack defense, and I still think they don't have enough size. Like, who's their best perimeter defender? Josh Okogie? It might genuinely be Kevin Durant.
That's a fair point. They got Bates Diop from the Spurs. He's all right. I mean, they're just going to outscore teams. Like KD said himself, offense wins championships. So
he was wrong. But,
he was wrong, but I think that's kind of the strategy. They're not going to be a great defensive team, but for most of the year, Denver wasn't either. And I think they bolstered up enough. Like, they just have enough guys where they can throw guys at players. The front court depth, Drew Eubanks, not great on defense, but he can block some shots. And then who knows if Bol can actually do something this year. But I think they have enough guys where maybe he's going to be bad one night, but they can throw in another guy.
I need you to answer a question, though. Who the hell is playing point guard for this team?
I don't know, because I heard Bradley Beal is supposed to play it, which...
Bradley Beal, a guy who, by the way, if anyone's wondering, career average 4.3 assists per game.
Devin Booker could play it. He played in the playoffs after Chris Paul got injured, and their offense actually looked way better. I'm not in love with that, but I don't get why they didn't just sign like a random, like, old veteran point guard or something like that, because I can't think, do they have any point guards on the roster?
I don't think so.
I guess they don't.
There was a long pause that I'm going to edit out right there. I don't think so, unless they have like some 15th guy on the roster. All their guards, like Eric Gordon is a shooting guard, Booker, Beal, Okogie, they're all shooting guards. I tell you what, maybe this is just a pie in the sky delusional. What's Rajon Rondo doing right now? Ring him up. I'm sure he's like 38. He's probably happily retired. But if you need someone who could come in and play 10 minutes and distribute the ball a little bit, ring up Rajon Rondo.
Kemba Walker's still trying to get back in the league, so hit him up.
He's signed in Monaco.
Give him a phone call. He'll break that contract in an instant.
That's the video, guys. How do you think the Suns will do this season? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving it a like, as it really does help us out. And while you're here, why not check out some of our other videos as well? And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.